Okay, can we all see the screen?
Yep.
Amazing. All right. So welcome to Natal Chart Astrology and how it can help you and your business, the Sun Sign Edition. So the reason that I started with this being the Sun Sign Edition is because most people, whether you're into astrology or not, know about their sun sign. So like, I don't know if you're ever like at a party or something like that and someone says like, I'm an Aries, so what are you? And you know, you're a Leo, you're a Cancerian or whatever. Like most people. Hello. Okay, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. I'm so glad that that's okay. Because you look so unimpressed. I'm like, is it that bad already? And then it's just she had no idea what I'm saying.
Sorry to interrupt. I've only just heard from now. I'll be quiet. But keep going.
Okay, we love having you here in the room. So yes, so sun sign is like something that we all kind of know, and it might come up in conversation, even if we don't really know what we're talking about. Someone's like, oh yeah, I'm a Leo, or yeah, I'm an Aries, or yeah, I'm a Cancerian. Like we usually can relate to our sun sign as in like the day that we were born, like the month we were born, that gives us our sun sign information. What I have come to learn is I'm actually doing an astrology apprenticeship. So it means I've got an astrology teacher who teaches me different things about how I can look into someone's personalized astrology and kind of help them live their life in alignment. And what I found personally is when I've tapped into my like astrology side of things, it's actually helped my business because I have been able to make moves and head in directions that I actually feel really supported in and I actually really trust myself in because I can see where I'm using my like natural kind of capabilities, like the things that come to me easy. I'm leaning into them and maybe making them kind of my zone of genius instead of feeling like any shame or whatever about, you know, what might come naturally to me. So we'll go into that. But first, I just wanted to have a little chat about like what the fuck is natal chart astrology and why should you care. So this is what a natal chart looks like, this circular like pie looking thing. I'd love to know just if you can get at me in the chat from say like a 1 to 5. A 1 is like I've never heard of astrology, I have no idea what this is, and a 5 is like yes, I've seen this before, or maybe you've had an astrology reading, or maybe you know, you've been somewhere. 2.5 Aoife, love how precise that is. Okay, cool. 3, cool. Okay, cool. So maybe we've got a bit of an idea, but we're like not 100% sure. 1.5, exactly. Love the preciseness, girls. Okay, so what is a natal chart? So a natal chart really is like the moment that you were born, the place, the time, and the date, like the full location is so specific, right? In the whole big world of space and all the things. And the natal chart is like if you took a screenshot of that moment that you popped out of where everything was in the sky. So where the stars were, where the planets were. And that screenshot is actually like a blueprint to your life, to your soul's evolution here. So an astrological blueprint is something that it might be referred to. So you might have heard that kind of terminology before. So that's what it is. And why do we care? Because the placements of where those planets, stars, all the things were actually can kind of help us shine a light onto where we are like scared, what feels really good for us, things that motivate us, like our purpose, career. I've got here a few things like personality, relationships, like relationships like sexual relationships and like partners, but also like you know, how you are in like a one-to-one setting, how are you in a group setting, like what your friends might be like, your relationships to your kids, those kind of things. It can actually give like lots of information about, we don't say good and bad in astrology, it's more like where is light, like where it feels really good, and shadow, like where it might feel a bit uncomfortable, but there's usually a rhyme or a reason as to why and how we can maybe work around it. So I really love this. I've looked deep into this is my personal chart. So I've used this as an example of like where I feel a bit like out of my comfort zone and like things that I kind of avoid. But then when I actually do them, they feel really good and I can feel that I'm like pushing my edges. So I feel like that's really cool. And that's why I thought it'd be fun to bring it into people's businesses, especially when we are our own personal brand. The way we communicate, the way we show up online, even like how we write and how we express ourselves as a business owner and as a business can maybe feel a little bit fake sometimes, and then we can't keep up with it. Or it might feel like really fucking authentic and you're just like in this energy of like moving. And that's usually because you're feeling in alignment and things come easier. There's more ease and grace in alignment than push and pull against a way that maybe is not really meant to be for you. So drop an 888 if that resonates with you, or if you feel like that's a vibe. Let's learn some more. And by the way, this is only going to be like 25 minutes, half an hour. I'm going to send you all these slides afterwards and the recording afterwards. So like you can look up more specific things to you. Thank you. Love the 888. Now, so next, let's move on. Okay. So there is four element groups: fire, earth, water, and air. And there are 3 signs to each element group. What I'm going to do is do a brief overview and a little bit of a rundown, because 1, this is really cool for you to know for yourself, but 2, it can actually really help like with your relationships. So maybe it's like your partner or your husband, your kids, your best friend, maybe it's like someone you're going to collab with, you know, whatever. It can be really interesting to know their sign and their element, because the element is the way that they show up and the way that they put like energy into the things that they're doing. So I think that's really cool. Just gonna have a sip. So do you know your sun sign? If you do, maybe pop it in the chat, because it'd be interesting to kind of see like, you know, how many fire, earth, water, and air we have in the group at the moment. That would be pretty cool. If you feel so, just type it in the chat. So the first one I'm going to look at is the fire element. And fire, as we think, it's hot, it's quick moving, it's action orientated, it's like in your face, you know, it's fucking in the room. So people who have an Aries, Leo, or Sag, like if that is their sun sign, the way that they make moves is very energetic. It's very cool. Pisces and Aquarius, cute. 2 Pisces, that's right. Yeah, so it is very action, a lot of drive. I've got here, it's very impulsive, it's going to fucking just do the thing. And the thing with fire energy, and if you've got like a lot of fire people around you, is you might be in awe of how quick they move, of the way they, you know, take great action. It can be really impulsive. They're not going to like sit there and stew on things for months on a time. But the only shadow to a fire is that sometimes it can be like too busy. It can be like almost burnout, because they're just like action. So it can be really good to like slow down. So you might find like a fire and a water person together, because the water is not necessarily going to put out the fire, but just bring a bit of more flow into their life. Where if you've got like 2 fire signs, it's like high energy all the time. And it's like, it's good for a moment, but like not all the time. So that's really interesting, I think. So I wonder if you know of any fire people in your life and how they move about their day. And if you're like, oh yeah, like my dad is a Leo, and he is like, you know, in your face and always there, and there's always stuff going on with him. He's always like, he rocks up at your door and he tells you all these things he's doing and like what's going on. And it's like too much for me. I'm like, sensory overload. But yeah, that's the fire, and that's how they live, and that's what lights them up. The next one is an earth element. So that's your Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. I've got one son who is a Taurus, and I've got a husband who's a Capricorn. So I'm totally familiar with this energy, and they are very like, yeah, very structured, very routine. They have, I've put here, they're grounded and they have really solid foundations. So they like to know what's going on. They're like got the spreadsheet out. They've got their, you know, money projected for the next 6 months, and like everything as far as business wise, they are really like got a plan. The downside, or like the dark side, I guess, of being in an earth element is that sometimes they need people around to remind them to inject a bit of spontaneity into their life, like spice things up a bit. So like, for example, yeah, so my husband's a Capricorn. I'm actually a water Cancerian. So I'll be like, I have an intuitive feeling, or I feel like this feels good, I'm just going to do this, where he'll be freaking out and be like, oh my God, but do you have a plan? Like, what's the outcome going to be? Like, is there going to be monetary win on that? Like all this stuff. And I'm like, it's fine. I feel like it's good. It's okay. And he like wants me to have my, business plan out. So that's like the different kind of energies. The next one who I touched on, and also, so we've got 2 Pisces in here and me, a Cancerian. So we are very intuitive beings. We have deep feelings. We are sensitive. We pick up on other people's emotions. What else we've got? I'm deep, emotional, sensitive. We take things to heart. And we really do desire a security. We, like for me actually I'll go into that later, but yeah, we desire security basically. The more shadow to these water signs is that, yeah, we might be thinking about our, best friend's breakup, and we're like emotionally tapped into our best friend's breakup, and that's then impacting our days because we're like emotional, intuitive people. We can feel other people's energy, and we can maybe bring that on board. So the thing for us to look out as Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces people is that to not let other people's energies, emotions, basically their shit that we're going to take on, like don't let it bog us down too much. So a way that we can not get stuck in our emotions is actually to move. So being near a fire energy would be great for us because we're seeing them move all the time, where we might be sitting there thinking about like, yeah, as I said, my best friend's just broke up with her boyfriend and I feel sad about it, or I feel for her, or I'm thinking about, should I go drop her off flowers, or how can I nurture her? And we can kind of get stuck in that emotion. And then the last one is air. Air's really fun. Like, have you heard of the term airhead, or like she's a bit of an airhead? Not in like a negative way, but it's like air is they're great communicators, and they're very social, free-spirited, and have new ideas. So where fire was like action, 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 in the physical, like air is like chatter, 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 chatter. They've got all the ideas coming from all these places. And so for them to look at like how they could like balance themselves out and not go into sort of more of a dark part of air element is to actually ground. So to get out of their head instead of all this noise in their head, and they don't know, they can't think straight. You probably heard that, like I can't think straight. Like literally getting your shoes off, going outside and putting your feet like on the ground in the grass is actually going to take you out of all this head chatter and like actually bring you into your body and like feeling the material world. So what is November 1st? I'll look that up for you, Maxi. Who's November 1st? Is that your husband? Okay. Hang on, let me look it up. Did any of that resonate with you? Like I'd love, so Aoife is air and water is Maxi, Charlotte, and I. I'd love to hear in the chat if you think like any of that kind of resonated with you, with how you take action or how you move in life. I would love to know if anyone wants to share. My head doesn't stop. Yes, 100%. Yeah. So like all the ideas, right? And also like with you, Eva, having like met you and, in the DMs and stuff, you are so easy to talk to. Like you are, you are a great communicator. Charlotte says try CBD oil for anyone on the recording. Maxi says yes, resonates, emotional. Yes. And picking up other people's emotional energies. Yeah. Okay, cool. So Shawnee for Maxi, November 1st. So that is also a water. So he's a Scorpio, but he is, yeah, you're very intuitive too, as a Pisces. So, but with the Scorpio, that like I said, it's the water sign, but also Scorpios are very deep, very intensely deep. So where you might be more of the like intuitive, talk, emotion, heart feels. I feel like that's more you as the Pisces, but the Scorpio is kind of like the deep part of it. And he actually does really value security. So we could talk about that later. because I actually know her husband, but let's talk about it later. But for you guys, if you've got like two of these water signs, and one's like really quite deep, and one is like, yes, I need to know all your feelings, and I need to, the Scorpio is so good at listening to other people's emotions, or like seeing if they're feeling XYZ, but not very good at expressing their own emotions because it is so fucking deep. So anyway, I feel like we could chat about that later. So what I've done is, I'm not going to go through all this, so don't freak out. But there's 12 signs, and I've done a slide for each sign, which looks at kind of the traits, or like what generally comes naturally to someone born under these signs. And then to tie into like the business part of it, what I've done is down the bottom, I've put some notes about like kind of typical career or business moves that would align with these signs, which I find like super interesting. And I've also put in there as well what element it is. So if you do find out like your mum's an Aries or whatever, you can look in here and go, oh, cool, she's a fire. And then you can see how that kind of bounces off each other. So I don't know how long we've been going for. Oh, we'll probably wrap it up soon. But I just wanted to go through maybe one or two. Definitely this first one, because we've just hit Aries season. So yesterday was the start of Aries season. And you know, when we start a new year, like typically on our calendar, it's like January 1st, 2023. It's a new year. Well, Aries is the start of like the astrological calendar. So this is very new energy for everybody, whether you're an Aries or not. If you're an Aries, you're just going to feel this more. But for us as a collective, we feel the Aries energy from now right through like to mid to late April. So remember that Aries is a fire sign. So quick action, big energy, bold moves is already a trait that comes with this sign because of its element, fire. But specifically to Aries, Aries is like childlike behavior. Like, you know, if a toddler just sees something and it's like shiny and new, or like at the cash register and they see a lolly and they're like, I want it, I'm going to go for it, not think about the consequences. That's Aries. Aries is like quick action, impulsive, risk-taking moves. So I like to think of it as like a small child kind of energy. I want, mummy, give. Even if they're going to get a sick tummy, they want all the things because it's sparkly and it, you know, they think it tastes yum. So they also very direct and straightforward, super confident, bold, and love to be risk takers. And Aries are traditionally found in management roles. So they can be like management, CEO. There's also Aries very much like business owner, entrepreneur vibes, because they are that quick action orientated sign. So they're going to come up with the light bulb idea, think, fuck, this is such a good idea, I'm going to run with this. But they probably have like 10 of those. So where is not their zone of genius is actually in finishing off projects, putting the processes into place that make that idea follow through. Does that make sense? So Aries is the light bulby, quick movement kind of energy. And then they need to bring people into their business to bring the project to completion, to put in the processes so it keeps on, you know, growing. So that's a little bit about Aries. What I might do is, because we've got not heaps of time, I might just go across to Pisces, because we've got a couple of Pisces in the live call right now. So Pisces has just wrapped up the season, and so that is like the last sign of the astrological calendar. So it's very much a completion, and now we're in Aries energy, which is now like the start of the next astrological new year. So as I said before, water sign, Pisces is a water sign, which means that they can actually tap into their intuition if they want to. And when they do, they can be quite connected. Like, it almost is a psychic tendency. They can be super creative, super spiritual. They can be emotional themselves, but also pick up on the emotions of like of other people in their core group, right? There says there that they are wise and they have a natural gift for healing, and that can look different in you know, different people's circumstances where it's not healing as in like I touch you and, you know, you're healed forever, but like it could be like offering emotional support. It could be like, you know, like Maxi, the work that Maxi is doing, that she's, you know, healing people and helping people through opening up their subconscious. Like Charlotte is helping people because she, you know, is helping people come unstuck in their creative boundaries, or like they can't, you know, shoot a scene at home because they don't know how to do it. So Charlotte's like, I'll help you by doing this, that, or the other. The other thing is that it is a flexible kind of sign. So when it comes to business, the way that they can thrive is actually being flexible. So flexible as it comes when it's a workplace, compassionate, intuitive, ideally in arts or medicine, anything to do with healing or arts, and you will thrive. So from a business point of view, like where can a Pisces be more creative? Where can they be very raw and vulnerable and like share all their intuition flexes, right? Like if Max, if you feel something, and we're talking about this on the weekend on the getaway, like if you feel something and it's like feels good to birth that offer, you're a sign that should just do it. It's not about the quick action for you, but it is about if it feels good, it probably is an aligned action. So that's really cool. And I'll just quickly go back to Aquarius, just quickly for Ava. Again, oh no, Aquarius is not a water sign. What have I done here? Aquarius is air. Yeah. Sorry, that was my mistake. But yeah, it says here that entrepreneur, graphic designer. So you actually make websites. So haha, that's so not funny. Like it's just written in the stars, literally. Work best on your own schedule. So making the move to now work for yourself is actually something that is an aligned action. So it's no coincidence that you're doing well on your own, being your own businesswoman, and yeah, leaning into that entrepreneur side. Free spirited, imaginative, independent, clever, creative, all the things we already know about Aoife. And and so it really is like, it is a remembering. This stuff is like actually at a soul level, you know, or you knew Aoife, like I want to go out and do this by myself. I know I can, so I'm just going to do it. So I'm not going to go through the rest of them, but as I said, I'll send this all to you after the masterclass. I really just wanted to say a massive thank you for being here today and listening to this, opening up your mind and heart to something that might be a bit new and different for you. And if you wanted a one-on-one reading with me, I'll send all the details in the email. I'd love for you to take a little screenshot of this and share. I love listening to you. Well, I love listening to you too. I'd love for you to, oh God, it's going to shut me off. That was so fab. Thank you. I'd love for you to take a screenshot and share it on your stories, and any feedback, as always, is welcome. And I love you, and I'll speak to you soon, my friends. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
No.